Hi, my name is Kamil A, and this year I decided to study investment banking for my career. So a little bit about myself. I was born May 29, 1997 in Paterson, New Jersey, and I spent a couple years moving between New Jersey and Virginia before my family had to move to the Middle East, specifically to Saudi Arabia. I spent around 10 years there, and I attended the American International School there. I came across a lot of people from all over the world. I met people from Argentina, Germany, Nigeria, from China, Taiwan. So it was a really great experience, and I really got to understand and experience different cultures while being in one place. Throughout my life, I've always loved sports. Tennis and soccer have been two of my favorite sports, and those are some of which I've participated most heavily in. And then my family, I have a mom, dad, and then two younger sisters and a younger brother. So I've always been interested in business. It's just it's the only thing I've been interested in, honestly. And as a child, I spent a lot of time with my uncle, and he was like the first and only person in my family to have gone into the world of business. So just spending a lot of time with him and like going through his work, visiting him at the office, I got to really see what he did, and then it's just something I wanted to take on. Specifically, as the years progressed, I gained interest in investment banking, and this year has helped me really confirm that's what I want to do. So when people think of investment banking, the first thing they say is Wall Street. No one really knows what goes on in Wall Street, they just think of Wall Street. So just a little bit about investment banking is, investment banking, the definition is a specific banking division related to the creation of capital for other companies. There's numerous operations. Some of them include raising capital, where companies will go directly to investment banks and ask for advice on specific ways they can raise the revenue they get, and ways they can also just generate capital for investment so they can go on, and if they want to increase production, stuff like that. There's also an aspect of security underwriting. When stocks want to go public or go onto the stock exchange, they go to the investment banks, and investment banks go do all the legal work. They go write the IPOs, which are the initial public offerings, their initial price, which the stocks are sold at. And then another aspect is mergers and acquisitions. Investment banks, they help companies buy each other, or if a company wants to merge together, they help with that process. Lastly, this was the most common perception of investment banking: sales and trading. The people that are out there on the floors at Wall Street yelling and screaming, making all the decisions. And then there's also back office activities. These are most of the things regarding like risk, security of companies. A lot of this is like forgotten in the world of investment banking, but is still present. And then my mission statement. My mission while in the Independent Study and Mentorship Program is to seek and increase my knowledge in the field of finance. I plan to take on this journey exemplifying a professional demeanor with an emphasis on integrity and quality. The goal of my experience is to live the daily life of an investment banker by pursuing a mentor in my community. I will delve into the world of finance with the goal to simplify it and make it more accessible to others, hopefully inspiring others to pursue my path. So the career outlook of an investment banker is, it's a difficult career to get into because there's only 22,000 jobs available on a yearly basis. That's globally. So just getting a job is really difficult. To start off, you need a minimum of a bachelor's degree in either finance or accounting, and then as you progress through your career, they usually require you to get an MBA. And the thing, a lot of companies in the past few years have begun to do on-campus recruiting, so a lot of these large investment banks come onto the campuses and conduct interviews with students. And another key aspect of getting a job is getting an internship while in college. A lot of students that eventually do end up becoming investment bankers, they intern at a bank during their sophomore year or junior summer in college. So that's something I look forward to doing. And then research. So the first thing I researched was, how do you actually get an investment banking job? The first thing I found was the internships are honestly the most important thing. That's the best thing you can do to get your foot into the door. The next thing is networking. This is a lot harder because a lot of banks, this is what I found, we're reaching out to them. A lot of them were not willing to either even pick up the phone, or they'd say call later and then never pick up ever again. And then lastly is the resume. A lot of the banks, they put a heavy emphasis on the resume. And something I read, something that stuck with me, was bankifying your resume, which is pretty much because a lot of adults who want to switch their careers, maybe from like the medical field or the engineering field, they come to investment banking, and a lot of their resume doesn't match what an investment bank is looking for. So a lot of them spend time bankifying the resume by talking about budgets, how they've helped in budgets, or how they've helped the finances of the company. And then the second research assessment I took on was the types of investment banks. There's two categories when it comes to investment banks. There's the large bulge bracket firms like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs. These are the ones that deal with like hundreds and billions of dollars on a yearly basis. A lot of the large companies go to them when they're trying to go public on a stock exchange. And then there's also the boutique banks. These are most common here in Dallas because a lot of former investment bank employees at one of these large firms decided to open up their own firms, and these usually are more advisory firms. They provide more assistance, and they do deal with billions of dollars also, but it's just not as much of they don't get as many deals. And then the third research assessment I took on was mergers and acquisitions. Following the economic collapse in 2008, a lot of investment banks were in trouble legally and economically. They weren't doing so well. So after a couple of years, the economy's rebounded, and with a lot of investment banks getting a lot of money into their hands, investors are demanding them to help acquire and merge companies. So that's one of the biggest investor demands. And then, like I said, there was a recent boom. There's been a lot of influx of foreign money as well, and money here in America following the collapse in 2008. And another demand of investors these days is to diversify. One of the biggest issues that came after the 2008 collapse was that a lot of companies were they're narrow-minded in their thinking, and they always focus on a specific field. Nowadays, a lot of companies, including from the steel industry, are going into maybe technology, medical companies, acquiring mineral companies, stuff like that, just to diversify and lower their chances of collapsing like they did before. And then another key aspect to investment banking is valuations. A lot of the investment banks deal with, like I said, companies and pricing and just merging and acquiring. So understanding how to value a company is really important. There's multiple methods. The most common right now is the discounted cash flow. This was one of my interviewers that I met with recommended this professor from NYU who was considered the master of evaluation. So I went up and found one of his PowerPoints. So I just went through it, and I was able to get an understanding. And two things he stressed for the discounted cash flow model was firm value and an equity value. Equity value is just the capital and the cash holdings of the company, whereas firm value it takes into account future expectations, investors, and market trends and stuff like that. And lastly, my last research assessment was talking about the young bankers at Wall Street. A lot of them, because investment banking is known for its long and strenuous hours early on especially, so a lot of college students are looking into other options. Private equity is one of the most coveted second options other than investment banking. So currently there's a struggle between investment banks and private equity firms because students are going in, getting their jobs at investment banks, and then shopping themselves around, seeing if they can get a higher wage offer with less hours, and then just sneaking out the back door and leaving for private equity. So this is just a huge issue right now on Wall Street, and this is something that was interesting to me. My interviews. Here in Dallas, there aren't as many investment banks as I wish there were, so I had to sort of stretch out and interview with people from all over the world of finance. The first person I met with was Miss Etheridge. She had an interesting story. She started off at a mortgage bank in a small town in southern Texas, and so she worked there for several years, and she was never offered an opportunity to be promoted. So she went up and asked why that was the case, and she was just given the straight up response, because you're a woman. That day, she told me it was like probably the best day she's had in her life. Not because they told her she was a woman and she couldn't be promoted, because it drove her to the point where she is today. Having been rejected at that point in her career, she was driven so hard, and she wanted to be in a career field where she could do anything and do everything on her own. That's why she decided to become a financial advisor. So today she manages money of people, like over 100 people, from anywhere in net worth ranging from $1 million to $5 million. And she says that perseverance is one of the most overlooked things, and that's something you really need if you enter the field of finance in general, just because it's a lot of difficult work at first, and if you can get past the work at first, you can really be successful. Another key thing she stressed to me was, as her position as an advisor, she said that making people comfortable around you and just being able to communicate freely with them is important, because she said a lot of people have trouble handing over $1 million, $2 million just for someone to manage. They're not just going to trust any random person to go ahead and do that. So you really have to connect with them and have a strong relationship. The second interview I did was with the actual investment banker, Mr. Shane Goodwin. He works at the Wells Fargo Securities here in Dallas, and he's a manager director, which is the top position you can gain as an investment banker. So he's done well for himself. He started off as a college football player, didn't make it, and then was lost for a couple of years until he was offered the position at this startup investment bank in New York. So he worked there for several years. He worked with a lot of good minds there, because a lot of the people he worked with have gone on to start some of their own investment banks, and those investment banks are really successful. And then he had a lot of Wall Street experience. He had some crazy stories talking about how he was at a meeting once, and a manager came in to the office one day, and he got so mad because none of the work was done, and there was a dude at the end of the day. He threw out a chair out the window of a skyscraper in Manhattan. So found it really funny, and just found his experiences and stories he told me to be interesting and something that I look forward to. Another thing he stressed to me was he was one of the few people to actually work on bankruptcy deals, and he said that a lot of people tend to shy away from those situations just because there's a lot of work, a lot of dirty work and long hours to that. But he says, if I ever have the opportunity to just work on a bankruptcy deal, that's one of the most beneficial things, because that's where you learn the most, and it's really helpful. I also interviewed with the professor at UT Dallas just to see what options, or just to understand why I wanted to study finance. So he really helped me. He really helped explain to me what was the reason why he loved finance so much, and a lot of things he said matched up with what I view with my view of finance. So I just felt like this ultimately cemented that this is something I wanted to do. And with Mr. Ekub, he was a head of investment at Crow Holdings. When I visited Crow Holdings, it was a beautiful place. It was in the heart of Dallas, and it was a gated community within Dallas, and it was built by the Crow family, a rich and wealthy family that's been in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for a while. So just getting to meet him was a privilege, and seeing the buildings and the history behind the Crow family was really unique. He himself works in private equity, which is slightly different than investment banking, which instead of dealing with public companies, they deal more towards private investments and stuff like that. He himself had an investment banking, he was a former investment banker here in Dallas also, but he decided to head into private equity just because he found it something more enjoyable and less strenuous, while also being rewarding. He said the most important thing you can do is pursue a career where each day is a challenge, where everything is constantly changing, because that's something he enjoys, and I think that's something I would enjoy as well. And another thing he said to me was, investment banking, while you may not know if you want to do it until you actually get to the office, but the thing is, being an investment banker opens up so many opportunities for you. You can go, having that on your resume can ultimately help you get any job in the world of finance. So I found that to be interesting, something I wish to one day use. And then Jared Nix. He was actually a former student here at Frisco High School. He graduated from here and then ended up going to UT Austin. I met with him and he was actually new to the job, having only been there for 8 months. He talked to me a lot about the crazy hours and how he would expect to go home at 6, then he would just get a call saying there's a project due, so he'd be working till 3 a.m. This was a unique experience just given the fact he just entered the field of investment banking, so I got to see the perspective of someone at the entry-level position. And then my last interview was with Mr. Goff. His story is quite interesting as well, because he was in the pharmaceutical business until the age of 40, and then one day he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he ended up switching over, starting his own company with no formal education, no education in business, and just started his own private wealth company. So far he's been working 8 years. He's created his own firm. He works alongside Merrill Lynch and uses their offices, and he does something called private wealth management. This is similar to financial advising, but it deals with ultra high net worth clients, anywhere from $10 million to multiple billion. So I asked him, how does he usually acquire these people? He said, I reach out to him, and the best technique he uses is meeting the clients that he already has with other clients, prospective clients, because he says the best thing rich people love to do is meet other rich people. And then one thing he stressed to me was the reason he left his job at a pharmaceutical company was because he didn't have the opportunity to be an owner. He said being an owner has so many perks, and that's where you actually make your real money. He said whatever you do, make sure you're an owner and you have equity. So that's something I took with me from that interview. For my original work, I intend to propose a merger and acquisition deal. Like I said, it's one of those deals where I'm going to start off by valuing multiple companies in a specific industry, seeing which companies conduct extensive research into them, seeing the market trends, economic trends, management structures of those companies, and just seeing which one would be best suited for a merger and acquisition. Then after that, I would select the two companies and then weigh the pros and cons for each side, see what benefits one company would have to being acquired, whereas the other one would, and then calculate a fair sale price and complete the legal work, and then finally close the deal. So my quote I chose for this year is, the only place where your dream becomes impossible is your own thinking. I found this really relevant because a lot of high school students and just people in general seem to underestimate themselves. They often cut themselves short, sell themselves short, and they often limit themselves. I think honestly that's one of the biggest things that limits people is their own thinking and not thinking positively and thinking optimistically. So just having this quote really drives me to work harder and push myself every single day. Well, that's it. Thank you.
1852. It's good. Very informative. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Okay. Are y'all ready? Tonight?
Josh. Gosh.
My children. Making sure there's no portfolios in there. Yes.
Too much.
So is everybody ready for tonight? Hey, be there by, if you're not coming early to set up, be there by 6. 6 o'clock to set up.
Just need to like set up. Oh,
Are you taking your?
we don't need to be there until 6.
When do you want us to have it set up?
If you, I mean,
By 6, at least by 6.
you have to have everything set up, standing in front of your table, ready to greet guests at 6:30.
Like you can like if you get there at 6, you can like walk around, right?
Yes.
So you don't. So I don't.
Is it okay, like,
I mean, you have to, you're gonna have to set up your table and all that, so 6 is the latest. Yes, the tables will be there by
I
y'all.
might have to show up by 6.
Wait, do we-
I'm here till 5:30ish.
Do we need an extension?
Is it, it need electricity?
But if we don't,
Hola. How are you? Good, how are you? Good. Any word?
No, I'm still waiting.
Yes. Yeah. Is UT Southwestern too far? We gotta figure out what's going on with you as far as, 'cause I've got several kids that are doing their at UT Southwestern. Yeah. All right, thank you. You're welcome. How are you? Good, how are you? Good.
should we have a fire drill this period?
Yes. Oh, why don't you come and,
When's the fire door? Like, right when the balcony?
yeah, why don't you come and load up your, are you working? That's cute. I was just wearing a suit. Can I walk in? Yeah. You wanna go first? No, I'll go first. You don't wanna go first? I just like, no, just in front of
We have fire drill that
Yes. I don't. How are you? Good. So. Thank you. Just have you ready.
Have you taken the pre-conference?
I gotta
The one
take it off.
before?
No, I was down there.
Me too.
Good, how are you?
I'm so nervous.
You're scared of what for tonight? Oh, this?
Not necessarily showcase. My recommendation is they give me a FEF scholarship email. So I have to find someone else. And so I'm going to go call some people.
For what?
FEF. They're not getting the
Like
email.
counselors do the, is that what you're talking about?
No, like my recommendation isn't getting the email for the scholarship.
So y'all
She
are.
said she's getting
Yeah, I'm waiting.
afterwards.
Okay. So Mackenzie, no word. Are you driving over there? Are you gonna go see her?
No, like, I think so. She just doesn't check her emails. Like, she responded back
Same.
once, and then I feel like I'm gonna have to wait another week for her to like get back to me. But I don't know, she contacted me once.
So I can't we can talk to her
About it. I don't know if I should wait for a response.
How are you?
Do we have announcements before?
You're kidding me. I'm not.
She's not here today.
Like go home and rest.
No, I should be okay.
It's extra homework for like.
Yeah, extra pack.
So,
Well,
she's
I'll
Oh no. Yeah, no,
Alex, he wasn't at school yesterday.
Yeah, he texted me yesterday, so I'm
It needs to get better.
But he texted back this morning, it's more than 2.7.
What is he?
I'm scared. I always get.
I get it every time.
My brother got the parallel, which is this like this year.
I don't
Like box your airway and can't really breathe in
That's
it.
gonna, I'm used to it. I have to.
That's the
I get
feeling.
the flu every year.
Mine has like
So he's just like, I don't need to stand a chance. Like I can't win. I always lose.
Yeah. I lose too strong and I lose the flu. You're like,
I don't know what you're.
I haven't gotten it a couple times. But when I was in elementary school, like I got it for, K through 5 every year.
It's miserable.
yeah, I know.
But I haven't had it in a while, so maybe I'll be okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So, can I go ahead and start calling now?
What? That's me shitty.
Yeah, that is gonna be right after it.
I'm just getting my hand first so I can get back into my computer system.
it's like a party.
Public speaking.
Yeah, I did last.
I'm wearing a dress, so I feel violent.
I'm wearing heels. It's fun though. When you did practice in your senior and like, it's my dad, I was telling my dad about it last year. And he was like, it's gonna be kind of fun because you get to go out what you love. And like, everyone has to listen to you.
I like
Yeah,
but then you put the word speech in front of it and my tongue gets all dry and I'm like,
it'll get better. It gets better.
Mine's like that.
I'm excited. I love doing the speeches now.
yeah, because I brought my power from last year.
Yeah, it's
So I
just
get to talk about
fun.
it.
Yeah.
How to do something. My speech is probably gonna be like
I'm afraid.
I had like all the slides and I was practicing myself. I was like, I just like 20 minutes.
That's like almost final product.
I know.
Like it's fine for now. Add a couple more
Like,
things.
it's
That's
so much
like
easier though now that like what I had last year to talk about. Like,
last year I don't like last year. It worked.
yeah.
Really hard.
I don't know. It's just
But now
Good morning, Frisco High School. Here's today's announcement.
But and since they're like related.
Yeah.
Lots of sound items are located in the downstairs table near the audience. Items not claimed for the lockdown will be donated to charity every Friday.
Important information for seniors that have or
I had
will
to,
apply for the FES
what's
scholarship.
polish them because they had like gummed up the tug. She likes we have this leather chair.
We ask that you
and
follow with your teachers and community members at
the leather.
office to check their receipt email request for the recommendation of If the email request is not received, then you will need to confirm that you entered the correct email address. Remember, the application is available online at www.friscoeducationfoundation.org. The deadline to submit the submitted application is this Friday, December 19th at 4 p.m. Late or unlimited applications will not be accepted.
I don't think this great game for GGG. Grab your road and this is a group dedicated to playing top quality games like electronic, tabletop, cards, and chess. Beat Miss Miranda B201 every Thursday after school. Join us this week to play the new Super Smash Bros. Game for the Wii U. We hope to see you there.
Are you interested in discussing a wide range of topics with awesome, accepting people? Are you ready to laugh, love, and cry? Come down to the Secular Club in Miss Moran's room B201 every Wednesday after school for this and more.
Do you speak Elvish? Are you at school tonight? Can you speak all of far over the 50,000 souls?
Tonight you'll need one.
Then you might be interested in winning a free Hobbit t-shirt to wear to the movie next week. The FNHS Library has a drawing for your choice.
Oh yeah, you're like, yeah. You get to the point where you're like, yeah, like, so what is this? And you're like, well,
Frisco ISD Library is offering you a chance to win a free Galaxy Tab. Any FISD secondary student, middle and high school, can check out an ebook from the FISD Digital Library